My name is Ms. Higgins, and I am 49 years old. I live in Toronto, Canada, a beautiful city that always feels alive, no matter the season. My home is a small, cozy apartment just a short streetcar ride from the old brick library where I have worked for over 20 years. Every morning, I wake up to the sound of gulls outside my window and the gentle hum of the city beginning its day. I make a strong cup of tea and watch the sun rise over the rooftops, painting the sky with soft oranges and pinks. Then I help my grandson, Ethan, get ready for school. He is 10 years old and he is the light of my life. His parents, my dear daughter and son-in-law, have faced their own struggles, and for the past 3 years, Ethan has lived with me. It's been a joy, truly, but also a quiet struggle. My days at the library are filled with the rustle of turning pages, the whispered discussions of eager readers, and the comforting smell of old paper mixed with new books. I love helping children discover their next great adventure, guiding them through the labyrinth of shelves, watching their eyes light up when they find just the right story. It's a magical place, and I feel a deep connection to every book, every patron, every story waiting to be told. But behind the quiet smile I wear for the world, there's a constant, dull ache of worry. My late husband, God rest his soul, left me a small pension, but it barely covers the rising cost of living here in Toronto. Rent keeps climbing, groceries feel more expensive every week, and there are always unexpected costs for Ethan, new school supplies, clothes he outgrows too fast, a field trip that needs extra money. I work hard every single day, trying to make ends meet, trying to give Ethan a stable, happy life. My biggest fear, my internal nemesis, is the constant doubt that whispers to me late at night. Am I enough? Will I always be struggling to keep our heads above water? What if I fail Ethan? What if I can't provide for him? What if I can't give him the opportunities he deserves? The thought that I might somehow let him down, that I might not be able to shield him from the harsh realities of the world, weighs on me like a stack of heavy encyclopedias. I worry that one day, my quiet struggles will become too loud for even the walls of the library to contain. I tried everything I could think of to improve our situation. I picked up extra shifts at the library, staying late to reshelve books long after the doors closed, my old bones aching by the time I finally made my way home on the late streetcar. I sold some of my husband's old tools, a few pieces of jewelry I rarely wore, anything to bring in a little extra money. I meticulously budgeted every single dollar, scrutinizing receipts, planning meals, turning off lights in empty rooms. My biggest dream for Ethan that year was to get him a new bicycle for his birthday. His old one was falling apart, and he had outgrown it terribly. He also had his heart set on joining a coding club at school, something I knew would open up a whole new world for him, but it came with a hefty fee. One afternoon, a young boy named Leo, about Ethan's age, came to the children's section. His face was etched with a familiar mixture of hope and disappointment. "Miss Higgins," he asked, his voice barely a whisper, "is the Star Weaver's Quest in yet?" "The new one?" I recognized the title immediately. It was a hugely popular fantasy book, and we only had a few copies, all constantly checked out. He had been on the waiting list for 6 months. My heart ached for him. "Not yet, dear," I said gently, "but I'm sure it will be back soon." His shoulders slumped. He told me all his friends had read it, and he felt left out. I saw a spark of genuine yearning in his eyes, the kind of magic that only books can ignite. "I promise you, Leo," I said, "I will find a way for you to read that book." It was a simple promise, one I made without truly knowing how I would keep it, but I couldn't bear to see his little face so sad. My own setbacks started piling up like overdue books. First, the old car, essential for getting Ethan to school and for my commute, needed an expensive repair for the brakes. Then Ethan shot up overnight, and suddenly his school shoes were too small, pinching his toes. "Grandma," he said, wincing, "my feet hurt." I had to buy him a new pair, despite the cost. To make matters worse, the library, facing its own budget cuts, announced that my evening shelving shifts would be reduced. That was a big chunk of my extra income gone. I tried to find The Star Weaver's Quest online for Leo. I found a few copies, but they were all new, selling for far more than I could possibly justify spending, especially when my own bills were staring me down, demanding payment. I felt an immense pressure building inside me, a crushing weight that threatened to suffocate me. I sat at my kitchen table one evening, surrounded by bills, the empty space in my mind where the vision of Ethan's new bike had once been. I looked at a faded photo of Ethan and Leo laughing together during a library event. I had failed. I couldn't afford the book for Leo. I couldn't afford that special birthday gift for Ethan, not truly. I was exhausted, bone-tired, the kind of tired that sleep can't fix. The guilt was overwhelming. Maybe I wasn't strong enough for this. Maybe I should just give up on the apartment, find somewhere cheaper, even though it would mean uprooting Ethan from his school and friends. The thought of giving up, of simply letting go of the fight, felt like a tempting, dark whisper in my ear. I felt completely alone, adrift in a sea of financial worry and personal doubt. The world felt too heavy to carry anymore. One gray autumn afternoon, the library was quiet, a soft rain tapping against the tall windows. I was still feeling the heavy fog of my lowest point, moving through my tasks mechanically, my smile feeling stiff and false. Suddenly, Leo appeared at the circulation desk, his small face a mixture of hope and apprehension. "Ms. Higgins," he asked, his voice barely audible, "did the book come in?" My heart sank. I had to tell him the truth. "I'm so sorry, Leo," I said, my voice thick with genuine regret. "It's still not here. We're still waiting." His face fell instantly, his bright eyes clouding over with disappointment. He turned and slowly shuffled away, his small shoulders slumped. It was a punch to my already aching heart. Just then, a gentle hand touched my arm. I turned to see Mrs. Davies, a sweet, older woman who was a regular patron. She always had a kind word and often observed my interactions with the children. She had been standing nearby, listening. She didn't say anything, but her eyes held a profound understanding. She quietly handed me a small, wrapped package. "For your kindness, dear," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You deserve a little magic, too." My hands trembled slightly as I unwrapped it. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, was a brand-new, pristine copy of The Star Weaver's Quest. My breath hitched in my throat. I looked up at Mrs. Davies, my eyes welling up with tears, unable to speak. She smiled, a knowing, gentle smile. Tucked inside the book was a small, handwritten note. "For Leo, keep believing in stories and the people who make them happen." Mrs. Davies, this quiet stranger, had seen me. She had seen my struggle, my genuine desire to help Leo, and my quiet despair. It wasn't just about the book. It was about being noticed, being appreciated, being seen as more than just a librarian, but as someone doing her best. This unexpected act of kindness, this unsolicited generosity, was like a warm light piercing through the heavy clouds I had been living under. It was a lifeline. It broke through my despair and gave me the courage to take a leap of faith. That evening, I went home, my spirit feeling lighter than it had in months. I used the very last bit of my emergency savings, not for the expensive new bike I had dreamed of, but for a slightly smaller, refurbished bicycle I found at a local community bike shop. It wasn't fancy, but it was sturdy and perfectly functional. And for Ethan's actual birthday gift, instead of the coding club, I bought him a cherished, slightly worn copy of another fantasy novel he had been wanting, one I knew he would love just as much. It was about meeting a need with love, not fulfilling a fantasy with debt. Months passed. My spirit felt lighter, truly. I was still Miss Higgins, the librarian, but I carried myself with a renewed sense of purpose. Ethan, my wonderful grandson, absolutely loved his refurbished bike, riding it everywhere with a wide grin. He was thriving in school, always asking for new books, his imagination sparked by every story he read. Leo became a regular, often stopping by just to show me his now well-loved copy of The Star Weaver's Quest, proudly recommending it to other children. He even started a small book club with his friends based on the series. Inspired by Mrs. Davies' incredible kindness, I started a Book Angels program at the library. It was a simple idea. Patrons could donate money or new books specifically for children who couldn't afford them, or for those long, seemingly endless waiting lists. I shared my story, not with all the personal details of my struggles, but focusing on the transformative power of an unexpected act of kindness, of how one person's generosity can create a ripple effect. The community responded beautifully. Books poured in, donations helped us buy new copies of popular titles, and the children's section buzzed with even more excitement. I often saw Mrs. Davies browsing the shelves, and she would always offer me a warm, knowing smile, a silent acknowledgement of the magic she had set in motion. Life was still busy, still had its challenges, but the heavy weight had lifted. I knew, truly knew, that things would be okay. Then one day, a few years later, a young man walked into the library. He was a teenager now, tall and confident, with bright, intelligent eyes. He looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. He approached the circulation desk and offered to volunteer, saying he loved books and wanted to help others discover them. "Ms. Higgins," he said, a wide smile spreading across his face, "don't you recognize me? It's Leo." My heart swelled. He was helping other kids find books, just like I had helped him. He told me that the Star Weaver's quest had changed his life, inspiring him not only to read everything he could get his hands on, but also to start writing his own stories. He pulled out a worn copy of the book from his backpack, the pages dog-eared and beloved. "I still have it," he said, a nostalgic glint in his eye. He opened it to the front page, and there, in my own familiar handwriting, was the note I had written all those years ago. "To Leo, from a grateful librarian who believes in you. Keep reaching for the stars." But below my note, almost hidden by time and wear, was another inscription in a delicate, elegant script, now clearly legible. "And a grateful stranger who believes in both of you. Pass it on." Mrs. Davies had known. She had seen it all, understood it all, and her kindness had been a thread connecting us all in a beautiful, enduring circle of generosity and hope. It proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that things truly do get better, and that kindness, like a well-loved story, can echo through time, changing lives in ways we can never fully imagine.